The man did not practice that. Whether he was a Muslim or whatever, or it's a phony story or whatever. The idea is that's the moral of Islam. The behavior of that person was not Islamic behavior. So we have to do things with perfection, whether you think it's going to be for you or not. The idea is why. Why do we need to do things with perfection? Because we're not dealing with people. I'm not doing that for you and you and you. I am doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that reminds us about the famous story of Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha. Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, she used to do something that you probably know the story, is that every time someone used to knock on her door or ask for money, she used to do what? Put the dinar in scent, in cologne. Put some cologne in the dinar. And the woman was watching and she said, why you're doing that? She said, because it falls in the hands of Allah before it falls in the hands of the needy person. So she understood the concept of, I'm working for Allah. I'm not working for people. Whether they appreciate or not, they are okay or not, they see it or not, they pay attention or not. My work, my life is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we're not paying attention to that, we're not going to be able to live as Allah wants us to be, Muslims and Khalifa on earth. And the last step is that, another hadith, Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam says, إِذَا قَامَتِ السَّاعَةِ, if the day of judgment comes, وَفِي يَدِ أَحَدِكُمْ فَسِيلَةٌ, and in the hands of any one of you, fasila. Fasila means a very baby tiny plant. And I'm going to stop here before I continue, although the end of the hadith is there. But think about it. He is saying, if the day of judgment comes, meaning what? This is it. This is the end of it. Who's going to benefit from my plant if I plant it in the ground? Who? No one. Yet, he said to the man, if the day of judgment comes and in the hands of any of you, a small plant, let him plant it in the ground. So he's teaching us what? He's teaching us whether people will benefit from it or not. Your job is to cultivate the earth. It's to bring life to earth. Even if it's the last day on earth, even if no one's going to eat from that plant, even if the plant's not going to grow up and bring fruits, the idea is that you as a Muslim need to cultivate, need to do something that on the day of judgment you will be rewarded for it, inshallah. So those are the 3 steps. And then we go to read to understand. We go back to the same thing. It's ayah in Surah Taha. وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. A very famous ayah towards the end of Surah Taha. I just want to comment one thing about it. Every ibadah, every act in the Quran came as mentioning do it. This is the only thing that came in the Quran with the word increase. Salat without increase. Siyam, no increase. Zakat, no increase. Amal salih, no increase. Nothing came with the word zidni. Ilm came with Rabbi Zidni, قُلْ Rabbi Zidni ilma, the importance of knowledge. So we have to, when we read the Quran, we have to read it to understand the meaning of it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to know why Allah created us. What's the purpose of me being on earth? To enjoy the weather in California? Of course not. Enjoy Disneyland? No. Having kids and struggling day and night and, having white hair at early time? Of course not. There is a reason, and the reason is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it in Surah Al-Dhariyat, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. The reason Allah created you and me and the jinn, it's for only one reason. It's to worship Him. And what is the meaning of worship? Unfortunately, people think about worship is that praying, fasting, almsgiving, hajj, la ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. That's it, and reading Quran. But that's not, even if it was that, count the minutes that you do that every day. You pray Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and you pray extra Duha, and whatever you pray. How many minutes do you spend every day in praying? 1 hour? Yani, more or less. Very good. So 1 hour of salah. 15 minutes of wudu. good, an hour and 15 minutes. 15 minutes of Quran, 10, 15 minutes of tasbih, whatever, 15 extra minutes from me, 2 hours. So out of the 24 hours, you are worshipping Allah 2 hours, and 22 you're doing what? Allahu A'lam. I have no idea. I'm surviving life. But what about this ayah? Allah said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. The reason I created you is to worship me. So you cannot worship Him only 2 hours. And the rest of the 24 hours, what do? You worship Him. But you worship Him in a different way. That's why we say Islam is not a religion. Islam is a way of life. When you work, you're worshiping. When you're raising your kids, if they are for the sake of Allah, not because you have to. I have to. No, there's nothing I have to. Everything that I do it for the sake of Allah. So in order to make your amal ibadah as the ayah, okay, because I need to change. I need to shift my daily laundry to ibadah. How do I do that? If you bring 2 conditions with them, simple as those 2 conditions. Number 1, you bring the intention inside of you that everything that I'm doing for Allah. Whether my husband appreciate, my kids appreciate, they don't appreciate, they say thank you, they don't say thank you, they pay attention, they don't pay attention, it doesn't matter. I am dealing with Allah first and foremost. Number 1. Number 2, who is benefiting from your work? People, family, neighbors, community. So anything you do has to be beneficial to humanity. If it's not beneficial to humanity and you're not doing it for the sake of Allah, then you're not practicing this ayah. And it has to be وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Then I need also to read to understand one thing very important, is that in Surah Qaf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Anything that it's going to come out of my mouth, 2 angels will write it down. Good, the angel on the right side. Bad, the other one. So somebody is watching over me, and I have to pay attention to that. But sometimes we don't. Sometimes we think that, whoops, I wish I didn't. Well, it's too late now. It's written. Unless you say astaghfirullah and you ask for forgiveness or whatever. But subhanAllah, we need to pay attention that when we read Quran, we read it to understand it. Most of the time, people or Muslims read the Quran for what? To get the hasanat of reading Alif Lam Mim, 10 hasana and 10 hasana and 10 hasana. But we don't read it so I can apply it in my life. So reading is good. But don't read it as a regular book that you're getting information that after you close the book, it's going to be over. Read it so you know the purpose of life. You know why you were created. What's your mission in life. What you're going to do. And how you can improve that style of life. And that's why we go to the second one, which is reading to apply. So I'm going to open my mind as I'm going to open my heart and my soul to understand. Once I have this intention, inshallah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'll be able to read it and then I'll be able to apply it. Because Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, it took me 10 years to memorize, and he meant applying Surah Al-Baqarah. So if it took Umar 10 years to apply it in his life, how many years is it going to take me? Probably the whole life. So the idea, they understood that it's not about memorizing pages and reading pages. No, the purpose is that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says one ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, for instance, He says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا ادْخُلُوا فِي السِّلْمِ كَافَّةً. O do you who believe,